Hey everyone, it's Hamish Hodder here, and in today's video, as you can see from the title, we're going to be talking about 4 great financial goals that you should be setting in 2020. And in this video, not only am I going to take you through what the 4 great financial goals are that you should be setting in 2020, I'm also going to be talking about how you can make small changes on a week-by-week basis in order to hit your big audacious goals throughout the year. You would be surprised at what you can achieve if you just make small incremental changes on a day-by-day, week-by-week, and month-by-month basis. So if you do enjoy the video, of course, as always, I would very much appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button or just leave a comment down below. But for now, let's jump into it. Before we get into what the 4 financial goals are, it's important to talk about how we should be structuring these goals so that we actually go out and achieve them. It's one thing to be the person who sets the goals and then gets to the end of the year and realizes they never really gave it an attempt after the first month, and the person who sets the goals and makes incremental changes over the year and turns around and says, hey, I was able to achieve the goals that I wanted to, and even some more some. So the first thing to recognize is that everyone is starting at different points. So everyone needs to set their bars at different points. Everyone is starting somewhere and everyone is aiming for something in particular. So the first thing that you want to do is that you need to quantify where you are right now. So what that means is that depending on what goal you're going after, you need to be able to put a number and a position on where you are today relative to where you want to be in 1 year's time. For example, if you're trying to make goals regarding your income level and how much you're making on a month-by-month basis, then today you need to work out how much you're making today, of course. And then the next step is to quantify where you want to be by the end of the year. And if we're talking about making money per month, then you want to pick how much money you want to achieve, how much you want to be making on a month-by-month basis by the end of the year. But this is applicable to any field whatsoever. If you're talking about reading as many books as possible or expanding your knowledge, then you might think about how many books you're reading on a month-by-month basis at the moment and how much you want that to increase by the end of next year. And then it is a process of working backwards from what you want to achieve in order to figure out the necessary steps along the way in order to hit those goals. It's very daunting when you set a goal that's a year out and it can seem very unattainable. So what you need to do is you need to break it down into exactly what you need to do over the year so that you can continuously make incremental progress towards it. And in order to demonstrate what I mean by this, as I'm going through the 4 financial goals in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the steps and some of the examples in my own personal life. So with that said, let's get into the first financial goal for today, and that is to reduce wasteful spending. Now, no matter who you are out there, yes, you are spending too much money on something. There's some sort of wasteful spending that you are doing in your life, whether it's spending too much money on clothes that just you wear once and then they sit at the bottom of your closet, or you go out and you buy too much expensive coffee, or eating out too much, or getting meal delivery, using Uber Eats a little bit too much. Whatever it is, everyone has some kind of spending in any of these categories. Now, for some of these things, you're not going to stop doing them because they have some kind of secondary payoff. For example, maybe you're a coffee lover like myself and you really get true joy out of trying coffee at new and different cafes. Or maybe you're really into fashion and you get a lot of joy out of buying new clothes and making new outfit designs and that sort of thing. So some of these things you're not going to stop. But there are things that you're doing that you know you shouldn't be doing and you know that you would benefit from if you could stop spending in those areas. So how do we do it? The first step is that you need to be tracking your spending in some way, whether you're using a basic Google Sheet or an Excel spreadsheet, or whether you're using an app like Money Lover is the one that I use in order to keep track of my spendings. You need to keep track of your spending so that you know where your money is going on a month-by-month basis. And once you're tracking your spendings, you want to lump them into categories, and ultimately you want to have 2 major categories, essentials and non-essentials, and they are exactly what they sound like. Anything that you need to spend money on goes in one category, and things that you know you don't need to spend money on but you do anyway into another category. And then what you need to do is you need to quantify what your long-term goal is in this area. Remember, this is going to be different for everyone because everyone has different levels of spending. One example of a goal that you could set in this area is to reduce your non-essential spending by 40% by the end of the year. But you could also set this goal in a number of different ways. You could also set it by a monetary amount, an amount you want to reduce your spending by the end of the year. But essentially, you need to quantify where you want to be. And then essentially, you just need to work backwards to make incremental steps in order to achieve that. So if you're trying to cut down your spending by, say, 40% over the course of a year, then that means that you need to reduce your spending on a month-by-month basis by somewhere between 3 and 5% per month. Now, 3 to 5% per month sounds a lot more achievable than slashing 40% out of your spending. And the reason why it seems more achievable is because you're incrementally making change over time instead of making a drastic change which you're going to feel. You're probably not going to feel a 3% change in your month-by-month spending, but by the end of the year, if you're able to do 3% consistently, you will have cut your spending in half. The second financial goal that you should be setting in 2020 is a goal relating to increasing your income. Now, most people out there are very comfortable in a full-time job and they're expecting to increase their wages at somewhere between 1 and 3% on a year-by-year basis, just keeping pace with inflation. And most people honestly think that it's really difficult to substantially increase your income. They think that they need to uproot themselves and go to a whole lot of effort in order to increase their income. And that is absolutely not true. Again, if you focus on breaking it down into incremental steps, it can be very, very easy, whether or not you're in a full-time career or whether you are like myself and self-employed. Now, the first step is that you need to quantify where you are right now. How much are you making right now? And for most people who are working a full-time or a part-time job, this will be really easy because you probably have one source of income. But if you're like myself and you're self-employed and you have an online business, then you might have a bunch of different online income sources. So you want to be making sure that you're keeping track of them so that you know how much you're making on a month-by-month or yearly basis. The second step, of course, is to quantify where you want to be. What is the income increase that you would like to see by the end of the year? Now, if you're working a full-time job and you're used to getting 2 to 3% income increases in the past, then maybe setting a goal of 10% would be great. However, if you're in online business or you're in business in general and you're used to seeing 10 to 20% increases, then maybe a substantial change would be trying to double your income over the next year or maybe even higher. Once you've quantified where you want to be, you need to, again, work backwards and make marginal steps in order to achieve that goal. And it's a lot easier than a lot of people think. As long as you have some kind of skill that is transferable, something you can teach to people or something you can do for other people, then it's very easy to set up some kind of online or offline business. You can do consulting or you can do done for you, are two examples of things that are very easy to set up. Done for you meaning that you have some kind of skill, something that you can do for other people. People pay you and you go in there and you do the work for them. Consulting meaning you're teaching people how to do something on their own. Either of those things are very easy to set up, and in many cases, if they're a high ticket item, it can be very easy for you to see 10, 20, 30%, 50, 100% increases in your income by increasing and adding that side hustle. For example, if you were making $50,000 per year at the moment and you're trying to make $100,000 in the next year, then you would need to increase your income by approximately 6% on a month-by-month basis. And in dollar terms, in that $50,000 example, that would be an increase of $3,000 in the first month. That could be as simple as one client or 3 $1,000 clients. So it can be a lot easier than you might think. Goal number 3 for today is one that you might not think is directly related to finance, and that is to read more books. And this, of course, can be related to any areas in your life, but relating to finance, you could read more books and learn how to increase your income, develop more skills, or read books relating to how to build a business or a side hustle or something like that. And you could read books about how to become better at managing your finances, managing your money, and investing it effectively over time. But of course, you could be reading books in order to improve your life in other areas, your fitness, your mental health, and your diet diet and that sort of thing. Again, everyone has different starting points, so don't think that just because someone has set a goal on Facebook to read 100 books in a year, don't think that that's just unattainable and that you're so far behind. Just take marginal steps in order to achieve goals that you want to achieve. For me personally, I think I probably read about 5 to 8 books in 2019, a lot less than I would have liked to because reading wasn't one of my focal goals in 2019, but it is going to be one of my goals in 2020, and as a result, I'm going to be aiming to read 15 to 20 books throughout the course of 2020. And if you just go out and buy 15 books and you stack them up, it's going to be about this high, and you're going to be thinking, wow, I'm never going to get through this throughout the course of the year. But again, break it down into marginal steps. How many books per month? How many pages per day? How many words per day? You could even break it down to. And it is as simple as just getting started. I mean, if you break it down on a page by page basis, you can get through a lot of books throughout a year. I mean, there's people who read a book a week in many cases, or even 2 books a week. So anything is possible. You just need to know where you're starting from, where you're aiming for, and what is required in order to achieve your goals. And the final financial goal that you should be setting for 2020 is to be investing consistently. Now, again, everyone is starting at different points, so you need to first figure out where you are, how much are you investing, and don't include speculating in the investing pool because that doesn't count. When I mean investing, I'm talking about making investments in the stock market for the long term, buying businesses that are going to be sustainable over the long term, and building wealth for retirement, building wealth over the very long term. So not your little day trading or your swing trading on a day-to-day basis. None of that doesn't count. Figure out how much you're investing today and figure out where you want to be at retirement. How much money do you want? This one's probably the most structured because you can put a monetary amount on what you need when you want to retire, and then you can figure out, well, how much wealth do I need in order to earn that in income, in dividends and real estate and that sort of thing. And then again, you just work backwards. What return is required, or what return can I reasonably get? And I guess for most people, this is going to be somewhere between 6 and 10% if you're just index fund investing. If you're actively investing, then maybe you can say that you might achieve a 12 or 14 or 15% return over the long term, and then figure out how much you need to contribute on a month-by-month basis in order to achieve that. Again, breaking it down into small incremental steps to make it a lot easier to achieve things over your lifetime. As I just mentioned, most people will be index fund investing, which means you're passively investing into the broader market, whether that's the US market or the Australian market. But if you're interested in learning more about actively investing, then I suggest that you hit subscribe and check out some of my other content. So to summarize, the 4 financial goals that I think you should be setting in 2020 are to spend less money, to increase your income, to read more and expand your knowledge in that area, and to invest more consistently. Now, everyone has different goals, financial and other goals that they're going to be setting in 2020. So I want you to go ahead and let me know what goals you're setting down in the comment section below. And as I said at the start of the video, if you did enjoy it, I would very much appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button or leave a like or leave a comment down below. But for now, guys, I hope you guys have a great day.